Applications to meet our immediate goals will be discussed. Talk will feature 1,000 frames per second high-speed video thanks to the Xceleum camera, simulations and hands-on physical concept, illustration, and demonstration prototypes. We'll begin with a brief overview. Could somebody go to the printer in the east and bring the handouts and pass them out? They're not stapled, I forgot, but you can hand them out. Okay, so we'll begin with a brief overview of the major concept graphics featured in the handout, so you can take these with you if you like. So, to begin, the ground reaction forces really do converge by all the data we have, and we can look at it in more detail, and I've got all the references, all the papers, and they're on the Mendeley. So they converge to a meta-center that's above the CG, center of gravity, for passive stability and dynamic analogy with buoyancy and stability model, where when your tire is a little bit flat on the bottom because the ground's pressing there, we call that suspension immersion, and the analogy will hold, as you'll see. We speak of a CG rather than center of mass because a lot of times we're accelerating around a curve and the gravity field is divergent or convergent, and so it's really the CG that we need. But for our cases now, you can say they're equivalent. So we have here our metacentric sphere, and we can see here, lots of times a ball in a bowl is used as a physical analog for stability. The attractor is at the bottom. So if I do nothing and just leave it alone, it will tend to converge there as the energy dissipates. And that's geometric stability. So we have our metacentric sphere. Of course, the center of the sphere is the metacenter, always. We try to locate our CG below, and we have a cloud of support. Here, the actual bubble activates the buoyancy model of the whole cloud at once. We're going to be going quickly through time, but you'll see the times are so quick that gravity cannot see the difference. Next slide. So here we have throttle angle also, and by a fixed throttle angle, we'll stabilize around that speed. We can change angles. Next. This is the Roadrunner model for fast running. We got it from the cartoons. We have our center of gravity, a throttle angle here. We've got our ride-running feet, and our metacenters up there. We are so stable. Next. So this is a simple kinematic leg. I've constrained it by a mechanism to actually travel in an ellipse. It couldn't go at highway speeds, but it illustrates the concept. And you can see this in the backyard at the Institute on the boom that we have. Next slide. So click on that. This is the Bielzewig curve, the whatever it is. But in the region where we're interested, it's a nice ellipse, and that's what we need, and that ellipse is convergent to the sphere. It won't play. We'll come back to it. So if it didn't play, this is what it does. And you can see where the leg is at each of the 16 frames in that stabilizing curve. But all gravity can see is the blur. There's just no time. Next slide. So there's our curve. And this is already happening, and we can actually change the shape of that envelope by the nonlinear elements in FastRunner. Next slide. So we can get, in the region we're interested in, the smiling curve on the bottom, no matter what it does up here. Next slide. So we don't control the angle of attack. We don't apply any control at all. Go back to that. Let that animation play. Back. Here, let that animation play. It should. We have our sprawl angle. We're in contact. Here's our suspension immersion, ground plane. Medicine, if this doesn't play, let it play because it's important. You'll see these forces change as it animates. So here we have the idea of a sphere floating in water. There's no friction, but attitude stability is preserved like a boat in the water. And then with friction, now we have rocking chair stability, and so speed is stabilized. And that's the math, that's the geometry. There's just no time for anything else. Next. So you've seen that already we're replicating this Bielzewig curve. Be it what you get, what you see is what you get, be it whatever it is. And so what we have here is concentric nested ellipses that grow slightly, and they're nested, and that's fine. And these are actual curves from FastRunner simulation with the full 3-segment model with Matt Bellman. And so we are interested in this curve. What's interesting about this curve is that the Roadrunner animators saw it unbelievably precisely. And they animated for throttle angle and the curve amazingly correctly. Next slide. So that's why this is in that honor, the Roadrunner model. We saw the concentric nested ellipses, and that's in XZ sagittal plane space. But in control space, we have a nonlinear autoresonant oscillator. The springs are stiffer the further you go out, and we have damping that's there. So the attractor is set in amplitude by the throttle setting. That's it.